Hello, Ran here, aka Mac, and welcome. Today, I want to just give an overview of what happened for the latest 10 for the chairman, which was Chris Roberts and Tony Zurovec talking about the 3.0 professions and what we can expect. Now, it was kind of mainly a rehash over stuff we've already heard, but there were some interesting points, and it's nice to just bring it back up again for maybe those who don't know about it, and plus to help us get more excited. All the questions chosen were voted on Spectrum. We now have the ability, if we see a question asked by the community that we like, we can upvote it, and then that will get picked out of the list. Now, there was 10 questions, and they were starting with the least upvoted out of the top 10. First one being, will items and cargo on planets be in a visible storehouse, or will they disappear somewhere? And they said that they want to have a visual indication in the appropriate commodities place, so like a warehouse or a storeroom. You'll be able to see things that represent what is there, but not everywhere will have a window where you can see it all. But they do want to give the feeling of plenty of items. They cannot obviously replicate, say, for example, 10,000 tons of something. It would be more a representation of this. The same system for shops. We will have some form of showroom or shop floor, which will show part of their inventory, but then the rest will be just hidden away in the back or, not created. Anyway, next question is, are there any plans on cargo loading of the bigger ships, such as the Hull series of ships? And is the loading at a space station or even planetary going to be automated, or will there be specialised small cargo loading ships similar to the Argo to load manually? And they said they don't want larger ships to just park up, you press a button and then it's all done automatically for you. Large ships will take a considerable length of time to unload, plus it will create a lot of missions for NPCs as well as players to assist. They have got a comprehensive design right now, but they're iterating on it to make sure that they want it to unify functionality-wise for loading and unloading with the same concept for small ships as it is large ships. It's currently in design phase. It works for smaller ships, but not for larger ships just yet, so that's why they're still refining it. But in bigger spaceports, you will have a realistic, similar to sort of real life style of ports which unload your containers rather than you personally doing it by hand. But players will be able to play a part in it. Maybe you could take a job driving some form of space Argo forklift, removing and loading containers, or they could just have AI doing it. It depends on, if nobody wants to play that role, the AI will do it. But manual loading and unloading will still be a thing, and if there's not a port where services are available to you to do this, then you will have to do it yourself. But it will be automatic where appropriate, and there will be specialised ships for loading and unloading. So the third question is, what is in store for the salvage profession? Will it involve carving up ships for scrap, or resources in the sort of repair profession, or specifically seeking out functioning and expensive parts of derelict ships, or a combination of the both? Will it be like mining and require good scanning to effectively find salvageable ships or stations? Now, they say salvaging will be in sort of two parts. You've got scavenging, which is extracting full items from ships like weapons, components, power plants, so on and so forth. And then you've got scrapping, which is extracting the raw materials like metal plating and so forth. These pieces will be distributed logically around the ship, so players who are more knowledgeable about the ships will find the valuable pieces quicker. There is likely to be tiers of players. Some of them will only be interested in the more valuable items. Others will be interested in scrapping everything in between, like taking the general debris and then reselling it. So you'll find that if there's a derelict ship out there, some people will go up and just look out for the best bits, the most expensive bits that they can resell or reuse. And then they will leave it again. Someone else will come and find all the best bits are gone, but they can still salvage some of the scrap metal, but they don't want to get it all. And then others will go and just literally shred the whole ship and take everything that they can find back to sell. So fourth question is, in both the cargo running and mining, what types of hazards can we expect? Other than pirates, what dangers can we run into? Things like hitting combustible vents while mining, or maybe container malfunction during transport. And they say that things like, what you can expect, meteor showers, comets, derelict ships crossing your path, debris fields, micro black holes. Tony Zurovec says the interesting thing is you'll most likely come across this stuff while on a mission, so there is possibly some value to be had investigating. Obviously, if you find a derelict ship, but you're too busy to salvage anything, you can give this information to your org or your friends, or even just sell it across the spectrum just for other people to go and find. Item 2.0 will play a big part in this whole thing, because if you're on a long journey, for example, your components will age and eventually fail or misfire. particularly if you're not maintaining your ship. So maintenance will be an integral part of keeping your ship floating. Obviously, running into pirates is a thing, but the Star Citizen universe is very big, and you could spend 30 minutes going from one side of the star system to the other side. So gameplay needs to be involving on board the ship. They don't want it to just be boring, you switch off and have nothing to do. They want to entice players to explore as well. So, for example, they gave is if you're heading to a refinery with some ore, you get kicked out of quantum travel as you receive a ping on your radar, and at that range, all you see is that it's a ship. You don't know anything about it. It says that cruise speed is about 3 minutes away, so do you either spool up your quantum drive again after redirecting around it, or do you investigate? And then as you get closer, you find that it's probably a valuable salvage possibility, but then as you get closer again, pirates may be lying in wait or already have been there, and then you get into a fight. So it's all going to be quite dynamic depending on what you choose to do. So, next question is, any thoughts into how destructible props will be restored in the persistent universe? If, for example, a player shatters some glass windows at Port Olisar, how will the game reset the windows? They say they're focusing more long-term for this sort of thing. Currently it's sort of basic persistence, but not full persistence. When full persistence comes in, ships, characters, locations, props, all these sort of things will persist, as well as their damage states. Which will be coming later this year. They're going to be reiterating on it throughout the year, and hopefully it'll come soon. But for an example, if you drop an item or a ship on a moon and then leave, when you come back, the item should persist depending on the importance of the item. Obviously, small things, small items won't likely persist, you know, in important things like wrappers to bubblegum, I think was what he said, but ships will. He said they don't want players or people blowing out windows where lots of players are, like Port Olisar, for instance. So this may be restricted. There will be some sort of security measures in way to stop this from happening. There will be areas like space stations and satellites, though, which could be broken by a player, and then a mission would be generated to repair this. There will be sort of two types of damage. One will be minor, requiring NPCs just to sort it out in their own time. And then there will be other ones that are quite more noticeable or major damage, which will then generate immediate jobs for players to go and respond to. Anyway, next question is cargo. Again, cargo loading. Short-term and long-term, what are the goals? So, we will have both, obviously, the auto for larger ships, like what you would expect in real life. But there will be missions like, for example, flying to a remote outpost, and you will have to load and unload the cargo, and because no one's likely to be there to help. But the larger cargo containers will have Gravlev jack devices, which you can attach to and move around at your own leisure. For larger containers, they may have things like vehicles to load these. They think they'll create some, maybe an Argo version. But this also comes into smuggling as well. You may have handheld cargo items that you can smuggle in, like gems, for example, or diamonds. The more expensive, smaller items will be handled and carried personally in a hidden compartment somewhere on your ship, and hope that you don't get searched, or, you know, sneak it off the ship when you get planetside and don't get searched there. But being able to open compartments and manipulate items will help towards smuggling. He gave an example of maybe taking a battery, opening up a little, like a container, a radio of some form of thing, placing the battery in and then closing it and using that. You could have something, for example, like a radio, but instead of putting a battery in there, you could put diamonds or contraband or something illicit, and just hope that if the advocacy come on board, they're not going to open up the radio to look inside. So there are going to be a lot of nice nooks and crannies and things that you could put within things to stop people from finding it. It's very, very interesting, and I'd love to hear more about this. But anyway, the next question is, will we be able to move between professions fluidly, or will we have to requalify for professions if we decide to switch? And he says, absolutely, you can move between them. It's more down to the equipment you have, plus access for missions, so if an NPC trusts you, you'll get better jobs. The next question after that is it safe to assume mining will be in 3.0? And he says yes. They are trying to achieve some version of mining for 3.0. Not the final version, obviously. It's just the basic profession, but it will bring lots of gameplay. And then, obviously, over time, throughout the patches up until completion, they'll build on this. So, second to last question. To effectively perform a job, will we need to qualify for them beforehand, like earning a certain amount of rep? Or will it be easy to get started as having the right kind of ship? Similar to the last questions. But it says that to do a job, all you need is the ship for the basics. For more lucrative jobs, you will need to build your rep, but you can always do basic, simple cargo hauling if you just have a small ship. So final question, will there be an autopilot in ship traveling from point A to point B so we can get up and walk around? And he said, yes, of course, you will need to get up and fix things on your ship or deal with other things. So you could set a point distance and walk around, you know, just let your ship carry on. If your ship is going to hit something, it will pull it out of quantum travel, or it will slow it down and bring it to a stop until you can get back to the helm and redirect it. Or you could always give instructions to a navigator and give, you know, even AI or real player, and then give him control and give him commands and instructions, for example, if you came under fire. Anyway, that was all of the questions. It's obviously very exciting to hear this stuff, but for the veterans of the game, we have all heard everything about this beforehand. Smuggling sounds quite interesting, that's new to me, but the rest is all rehashed information. If you are new to the game and you haven't heard this, it's exciting, very exciting, so believe it, it's coming. But that was all I managed to get from it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. What are you excited for? What are you not excited for? 3.0 is going to be very, very cool, and it just cannot come soon enough. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. Hit that like button, and I shall see you next time.